Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition. It's a Monday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I got a lot to talk about today. We'll have JC. We'll have Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. You missed it last night. Jets were up at half. They get blown out in the second half by the Steelers. You got 2 Monday night football games tonight. I don't know why. I still haven't figured that out while they're doing that. Gators with a big win. And our great friend of the program, Corn Dog, better known as JC, is now turned his attention to the World Series and the Bronx Bombers and the New York Yankees. Yes, JC, no cigar for you, my friend. No cigar for you.
Well, listen, I think, first of all, they're doing this dumb Monday Night Football thing, Thursday Night Football. They're trying to get people to do streaming. This game with Arizona and the Chargers is on ESPN+. So you have to get that.
I won't watch it.
Well, I'm not watching that, and I never watch really the Thursday night games on Amazon either. I'm not into it. But hey, listen, Tennessee pulls it out. How about, first of all, let's start with what's going on around here. The game, I think, Saturday night was probably the most fun I've seen Gator fans have in, I guess, since the Utah game or maybe even the Ole Miss game when Will Greer was the quarterback. And I think it was great to see because you have a young player who's really trying to find his way, and I think he had a hell. Do you realize that 7 passes were completed and the guy Lagway threw for over 200 and
50-some yards. Yeah, it was
7 plays. So I know you were sitting up there in the clouds, so excited seeing these guys run post routes for long gainers and go routes and all this good stuff. And Badger getting involved and all these players. And the ball being stretched down the field, I know you had to get excited about that.
No, it was great. It was good. I thought Billy called another good game, and we took shots down the field. I will say this. I know I say it after I watched the games in person. That is not a normal Kentucky defense. I know they were highly ranked, and I know they shut Georgia down, but they busted a lot of coverage on the back end, which a lot of teams do, but it was a really good team win. It was, we played well in all phases except on the kickoff return, JC. And I said this. So on one of the interceptions that Brock Vandergrift threw, they threw a dig route about 18 yards, went right through Barryon Brown's hands. I mean, literally right through his hands, right into Devin Moore.
Okay.
So we come back on the air and we're kicking off. And I said, Sean, I don't care where this ball's kicked. If it's 8 yards deep in the end zone, Barryon Brown is bringing it out. He is pissed off because he just cost his team. One of the only throws that Brock Vandergrift that was accurate went right through the kid's hands, and then I'll be damned if he doesn't run it back for a touchdown. I wanted to take my shoe and put it in my mouth after I said that.
Well, you called that one, but who could have called Jaden Ball with 5 touchdowns? And again, this kid, he's really gaining confidence at the quarterback position. I'm so happy for him because, listen, he was going to wait his turn with Graham Mertz, but then when Graham got hurt, when you have a quarterback rating of almost 200 and you complete 7 passes, that really adds something to the offense that I think defenses are going to have to account for. Now, QB, I am worried about defensively. And listen, another good game. Listen, they are, but Kentucky, that quarterback's not good. And the only thing I'm going to say is I'm not trying to pee on the parade here. I'm really excited because they won a great game by 28 points, an SEC home game. But you've got Carson Beck, you've got Quinn Ewers, you've got Garrett Nussmeier and Jackson Stark coming next. And so I think, when you see Cormani McClain do something exciting, it's great. When you see a guy get tackled in the backfield, it's great. But I think they got to tighten up a little bit on the defensive end still, even still, with those quarterbacks about to come to the table.
Yeah, Chad says Pyburn has made this defense better. Pyburn does what people offensive linemen hate. He plays hard. He plays hard every damn
Yeah,
play. You ask anybody that played offensive line, they don't
yeah,
care how big, strong, fast you
yeah.
are. If you have a motor, they don't want to play you.
Well, they play hard.
But you're right. So it's a great win. You're 4-3 going into the bye.
Wonderful.
But as I told a buddy at the golf course,
Uh,
we're getting ready to see 4 really elite quarterbacks and 4 elite offenses.
you are.
And I'm concerned because Jason Marshall Jr. is probably going to be out.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Well, ask Scott Carter his injury. It's a shoulder. It didn't look great.
No.
He's been our best guy on the back end. But it
Right.
was good to see Monty McClain make a play. Now, granted, it was JC playing quarterback. The guy threw a hitch route like 15 seconds late.
Now I know,
but he made the play, and you saw how the team reacted. It was pretty cool to see.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, isn't it? Is that everybody's pulling for each other. It seems like finally, and they're together. But I think we're gonna find religion here in the next.
Like I said, I don't want to take anything away because I'm happy for these guys. I'm happy for the coaching staff. I'm happy for DJ. I'm happy for all of them. But now we're going to play 4 really elite football teams.
And QB, I got to say this: the old Bulldogs, or the 2 year ago Bulldogs, showed up in Texas, man, and Jalen Walker was unblockable. So Jalen Walker, I think.
Who?
Walker for Georgia, number 11. He was unblockable. And I know you didn't get to watch any of that game, but I
watched bits and pieces of it when I could.
They had such an attitude, and they played. And Kirby kind of showed that emotion at the end of the game with his interview about how they tried to steal it from us and all. The refs did the right thing and corrected the pass interference call. But Georgia played a much different game defensively than I have seen all year long, and maybe even in 2 years. And I think it's because they got to a team and they played a game that got their attention. And they remembered what happened in Tuscaloosa, and they were damned if that was going to happen again. And believe me, they punished Texas's offensive line. So that's going to be a team that I'm glad that there's a week off. Honest to God, I am. I think it's going to let things simmer a little bit, and then I think you're going to see 2 teams try to kill each other on the 20 or on November the.
Russ says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, Kentucky beat Ole Miss and should have beat Georgia. They should have, but they didn't. 31 in Burr. I'm going to let you answer this, JC. He says Dart is not elite, Shane.
Well, I mean, I've watched him. I've only seen him play a couple times, but every time I see him play,
JC, he's been their starter for 2 years. He is elite.
Every
31 in Burr, we agree to disagree. I don't know what games you watch.
I think he's good. I really do. I think
he's very good. He's very good.
But the point is that folks just strap up, buckle up, because we're excited. We're happy to see them punish Kentucky for the first time in 3 years. Absolutely don't want to take a thing away from that. But if you're looking forward, like we all have to do, these next 4 games are going to be. It's almost ridiculous how the league did this to Florida with Georgia and Texas and LSU in 3 straight weeks. Who in the God's name in this country plays that kind of schedule in succession against those kinds of teams? And the answer is nobody. Nobody in the Big Ten, nobody in the ACC crap, and nobody in the Big 12 plays that type of roster in 3 consecutive weeks. It's almost ridiculous. Well, it is kind of ridiculous, Frank. It is. Come on, QB. I mean, Georgia, Texas, and LSU back-to-back. What the hell? That's asinine.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, embrace it. Go have fun. RW on YouTube Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Long. Wants to know who's the man mentoring DJ in the dugout. After DJ comes in, it's like coach's personal QB coach. He's the same guy that's been coaching the quarterback since Billy's been here. Ryan O'Hare's his name. He did the same thing. I get these texts from this person named Tequila wanting me to vote for her candidate. I get like 25 of them like every hour.
I do too.
And I keep blocking Tequila, but Tequila keeps texting from another number.
The numbers come back to get you, man. You can't block all the numbers in existence.
It's crazy.
I'm ready for November the 5th. I swear to God.
Ryan says, Shane, are we running more explosive plays and deeper routes, or is DJ just able and willing to make the throws further down the field? Again, I'm going to say this. It's been the very similar plan plays. You see, we throw at least 5 or 6 crossing routes a game. We've been doing that ever since Billy's been here. The the perfect coverage, the perfect play was called on the deep post.
I love the deep post.
Their safeties were like at 8 yards and bid up on the play action and just allowed you to just throw it right down the middle of the field.
Right.
DJ's played well.
Yes, he has.
He's played real well. But like you said, I'm concerned for the next 4 weeks, not because of DJ. I'm just saying.
No, I'm not
more concerned. I'm more concerned about the next 4 weeks because of the offenses that we're going to face. You know, we face UCF that can't complete a forward pass. Tennessee will complete 1 out of every 12 passes they throw. Kentucky is 1 out of every. They only completed 12 passes out of 26, and he's terrible. That's my only concern.
100%. I mean, that's just it. And, you know, listen, at least Florida is playing with some confidence as they go into this gauntlet. It's a gauntlet. Nobody in America has anything comparable to it. QB, you went 3-7-1.
Ooh, bad day.
Tough week. I went 6-4-1. So that brings you to 45-41-2. Me, I'm 46-40.
Who are my losers? Because sometimes your bookkeeping ain't right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for some reason, you took Oklahoma, who just fired their OC yesterday. You took Texas A&M, but they did not cover. You took Arkansas. You had Nebraska. Okay. That was an absolute wipeout. You had Louisville, as did I. You had Georgia Tech getting the 10, but, you know,
I didn't know their quarterback wasn't playing.
I know. Me neither. And then we both had Alabama, who just can't get off the field on third down. Never seen anything like it this bad in my life at Alabama defensively. And then we actually both took Duke. On my extras, I lost that Utah State, New Mexico under, but I won the Iowa over. They are 6-1 now on overs this year, Iowa games. Michigan State beat them. And then I had Cincinnati over Arizona State. That came in and lost the Iowa State game. They almost lost, period, outright.
Oh, yeah. And I think UCF threw like 6 passes in that game. They ran the ball well.
Yeah.
Anthony says on YouTube, it looks like we only are running and calling the same 7 to 10 plays, pretty much.
Okay, yeah. Great. I mean, if they work, I just keep calling.
Yeah, keep calling.
Do what
Ronnie in Pensacola on the Titan MR text line says it's Aiden Mizell in witness protection. He came in late in the game, but here's the thing: your 2 transfers are playing outstanding.
They are.
Trey Wilson's the other starting receiver, so Mizell just can't get in there right now.
Well, let Jaden Ball keep running the ball, and life's going to get easier for DJ if that's able to happen. That's all I can say. 22 carries, QB. I really liked that. Almost a 5-yard average, and, you know, of course, the 5 touchdowns, but 106 yards. That's the kind of running attack Florida wants to have, because if they have that, you're going to see these guys on the outside get open. They are. They're going to get open.
Reggie says Shane Trey gets the ball early in the game, then we go back to him the rest of the game. I don't even remember him getting it early in the game. I know we hit him on a scramble play on the first drive,
right.
But so Daryl says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, good win for the Gators. What do y'all think about the Gamecocks blowing out Oklahoma? Welcome to the SEC. I've never seen anything in all my years of watching football what I saw in that game. People may or may not have seen this.
Yeah. 3 turnovers.
The first 7 offensive plays of Oklahoma. First 7.
Yes.
Pick 6.
Yeah.
Pick 6. Scoop and score. It was 21-0 South Carolina, and South Carolina had run 4 offensive plays for like 2 yards and a punt.
I'm happy for the Gamies. You know.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, JC. Somebody texted me this yesterday, Bob. Which program has bigger issues?
Okay.
USC, Oklahoma, or Auburn?
Yeah, I want to go with Auburn just because of how bad it's been for so long. Whereas, you know, at Oklahoma, they did win 10 games last year, but Venables is lost on offense. He's lost. And Lincoln Riley has lost on defense. I mean, they go across the country to play Maryland and get beat. And that's not what they paid all that money for in LA. But that's my answer. It's Auburn. And Auburn is a team that has no quarterback play. And, you know, they had a lead on Missouri, but I think they were up 2 touchdowns, 17-3, 17-6. And then when Brady Cook comes back in the game, it's almost as if the lights came on in the room and everybody woke up in that stadium. And that's what happened. And Brady Cook won that game for Missouri, and he's going to Tuscaloosa, and they better watch their ass. Otherwise, that's going to be a problem for Alabama too. But Missouri was dead to rights, and Auburn could not put him away. And Hugh Freeze is just lost out there. I think he's just dying to find a quarterback, QB. He can't find a quarterback.
Well, that's his fault.
It is. He's a coach.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So my answer is Auburn. Auburn Tigers are probably the worst team in the SEC. Think about that thought for just a minute. Think about it. The Auburn Tigers and Mississippi State but here's the thing: Mississippi State can score all of a sudden.
Mississippi State is probably the most improved team I've seen in the league.
Okay, well, they got one win, but their quarterback.
No, I'm talking about they're the most improved team since I saw them whenever we played them.
Okay, that makes sense. Since you saw them, yes, because they are actually putting the ball in the end zone. Auburn can't figure that out, and so between those two, you've got the worst teams in the SEC. It's incredible that Auburn's even in that conversation.
Robert in Fort Myers says on the Titan Mar text line, give us your thoughts on what's behind the improvement of the D since the bye. I've listened to Napier, but sometimes I can't pick through all the coach speak. We've definitely seemed to improve since then. We have improved. We're playing lesser players, or playing the guys that actually played some different players that are making some plays. However, I'm still on the fence that I will give you more of an assessment if we've really improved after we play these four offenses. Correct. Because we played I do not think UCF's offense is very good. I do not think Tennessee's offense is very good. And I think Kentucky's is just god awful.
Awful. It's awful.
Yeah.
But
awful.
And ironically, they're probably going to play the best.
They're on our schedule, and we've done very well with them.
I know it.
But you're going to see great quarterback play the next 4 weeks with great offensive minds, and that or offensive systems, I should say. So that will give us.
Yeah. He's getting it going at Georgia too. That's another problem that folks are going to start having, is that now Georgia can run.
They're pissed off. That's the problem.
They are so pissed off. They're playing with such an edge right now. That game the other night was unbelievable. I couldn't believe how they pushed Texas around, and they did, man. They absolutely did.
Champion recovery with Core Power, delicious high-quality protein to build muscles and electrolytes to help hydrate. Core Power, replenish, repair, and rebuild.
We both picked Georgia. We both took them.
Yeah, I knew Georgia was going to win that game. Jumping Off Sides, I was on their podcast last week. Good podcast. Says he can't wait to do the win-loss total from the show Thursday. Hell, I can't even remember who I picked. So, all right. So, JC,
yes,
we're going to get to Scott Carter in the second portion of today's program.
Right.
We really want to know how you're feeling right now, JC.
It's not.
Are you done? Are you done with the program?
Sitting there with 2 losses in October is not
first time since 2007. Saban's first year. Look, this is Kalen DeBoer's first year. Give him a break. 17
years of this. It's not going to be. Yeah, things are going to change. It's obvious that that's going to happen. But I think the problem is that transition is something that these fans don't have any patience for. And honestly, after that Georgia game, what happened in Nashville exposed them so blatantly that I think coaches on the schedule kind of figured it out. But Tennessee when you pressure Alabama, you can beat them, and that's what they did. And they were all over up Mill Road. The offensive line sucks. So listen, I think I said.
Well, I've always said it. I don't think Milroe's a great thrower.
Okay, but I told you this. It's hard to throw when you're running for your life. But I will tell you this. I said this. They were 9-3 team. You don't think it's hard to throw when you're running for your life?
Not if. Look, here's what I will tell you. You want, as a quarterback, you want teams to blitz you. You want.
I know. I get that, and I said that the other day. I said, "Why aren't they ready for that? It's coming. Everybody in the world knows it's coming."
You are begging teams to blitz you as a quarterback.
You are. Okay. So I said that was a 9-3 team. You after the first half of the Georgia game, you mocked me, but that's a 9-3 team because I think they got another loss, maybe 2 in them. They're going to probably lose to LSU on the road with Nussmeier going crazy if he's healthy. And then, this kid Cook's going to come in this weekend. I don't know. It's very tenuous right now up in Tuscaloosa, and they don't understand how to deal with it. But
is Brady Cook going to be the quarterback this week? I know he set out for like 3 quarters and came back and led them to the victory.
I mean, if he played in the fourth quarter against Auburn, I think he's going to probably start against Alabama. At least that's what I would expect. But it could be different. If it is, Missouri's hopeless. But with him, they can play and win games. But listen, Texas A&M's unbeaten. LSU's unbeaten in this league.
They play this Saturday night.
They will play this weekend, and so that's going to give us a loss in the league. And everybody, like we said, somebody at some point is all going to have a loss in this league, QB. Nobody's going unbeaten in this league. So, A&M could. If they win against LSU, they could. They could, but they're
Yeah,
going
they
to
could. I said at the beginning of the year, I thought every SEC team would at least have one loss.
right, and that's probably what's going to still happen.
I'm trying to think. I don't know, man, because I LSU, I talked to a couple of LSU buddies of mine. They feel like they are better defensively without the kid. What's his name?
Harold Perkins.
Harold Perkins, who's out for the year. They feel like they're better now without him.
That's odd. That's odd.
And I'm just telling you, Garrett Nussmeier is the best quarterback in the league.
Well, he's really given them so much. I listen, when you've got Jaden Daniels, you follow it up with this guy. Yeah, man, that's pretty damn good. And they've got A&M on the road. They do play Alabama at home. They come here, and they also play Vanderbilt. So, I mean, it's not a gimme that they're going to run the table. I don't think they will. And then A&M this weekend plays LSU, but then they play
Texas. How did LSU lose to USC?
How did they lose to USC? Yeah. And listen, they were damn lucky to beat South Carolina. Let's remember that one, too.
That's very true. Very true. F45 training merges 3 leading-edge fitness training styles into one 45-minute functional training class. Visit f45training.com to learn more. A few more minutes with JC, and then we'll go to Scott Carter. Text on the Titan MR text line from Jonathan. He wants to know our thoughts on the overturn of the PI call in the Texas-Georgia game.
Yep. Well, so they made that call on the field. They are not allowed to review that. It was not reviewable, and that's what lost it for Kirby. He lost his mind because you never see officials literally just pick up the flag after they make such a pivotal call like that, but they did, and it was the right thing to do. If you watch the play over and over again, there was no pass interference on the defense, and Georgia threw the pick. But Georgia got over it. And that's the thing about Georgia is that they were resilient in that game. And I'm telling you, man, if that's the Georgia team we get to watch the rest of the year, they're going to win the conference. They're going to win the conference and be a top 4 seed. That's all I've got to say. Walker was unblockable. He's a first-round draft pick. That guy is unbelievable, number 11. And they didn't have that going on before this game. If something sparked them because something happened in Austin, Texas that got those guys off their ass, and they played desperate football, and they were really good. And that was a scary thing to watch because Texas was number 1 in the country. Texas, though, hadn't been tested like they got tested the other night, and they folded. And they brought in Arch Manning. Sarkisian brought in Arch Manning, which I thought was kind of a strange move because I don't know really what he was trying to accomplish there because Ewers came back literally, a half hour later. But that showed that Texas was panicking a little bit. And I think Georgia forced all of that on them, and they got a taste of the SEC.
Chris and Mayaka says,
imagine if they had to go play A&M or Bama or Tennessee next week on the road, But
yeah. Chris and Micah says, Shane, does anyone in the SEC throw the deep ball better than DJ? He needs to clean up the short and intermediate, but he sure let it fly. A lot of people like Milroe throwing the ball deep. As I've said for every day we've had on this show, what is the easiest throw in football, JC?
It's the safest one also.
The safest is the deep ball.
Yeah, you're right. You taught us something there, QB. I was very happy to learn that, and it's true. It's absolutely true. The percentages they don't work against you on that play, even though it's not always completed. It doesn't hurt you.
Yeah.
That's why it's the safest. But it's just amazing to me that the Gators, had all this passing yardage, 7 completions.
I said on the broadcast in the end of the game because Aiden Warner came in mop-up town and completed a pass. So we completed 8 balls and we scored 48 points.
48 points. And I know you had 280 yards of passing. But the receivers, Badger had 3 and DK had 2. But I think the biggest thing for me was QB was just letting and watching Jaden Ball. We talked about this kid. He's a physical looking guy. And to have a 5-yard average on that defense, okay, the so-called vaunted Wildcat defense, 106 yards on 22. So they gave it to him 22 times. I like that because it's going to give Lagway a chance.
I thought it was the first time in many, many years that the Gator O-line and D-line dominated the Kentucky O-line and D-line. First time in years.
Correct.
Kevin's question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mellon. Is Carson Beck having that good of a year? I believe he's leading the league in passing, actually.
Well, listen, he was on it the other night. He did throw a pick, but everybody will and does. But my gosh.
He threw 3 picks in that game.
Well, he threw a couple.
Think about that. Just think about that, though. I think it's either 2 or 3. 2 or 3 picks on the road against the number 1 team in America, and you destroy them in their home building.
Blow them out. You blow 'em out.
Actually, okay, this is the updated passing stats. Jackson Dart leads the league with a little over 2,300. Nussmeier's around 2,200. Carson Beck's right at 2,000.
Yeah, I mean, these guys this is amazing to me that Florida gets to play these 4 guys in the next 4 weeks.
And then you got Quinn Ewers, who was out. He's around 1,100, and Arch is right around 900. So they would be, if
Close
one quarterback played, you look at 2,000. So we're basically gonna, like I said, the top 4 offenses in the league with the top 4 quarterbacks. So it's going to be a challenge.
Yes,
it's going to be a challenge. Somebody asked what we thought the Georgia-Florida spread would be. I would guess Georgia by 17.5. What do you think, JC?
That's a lot. I'm going to say at least 2 touchdowns. Yeah, but
I know that. But give me a number.
Well, they don't have it posted. I'm going to say, you say 17.5. I'm going to say 14, 13.5, 14. I think it'll be.
Somebody asked if we combine both our quarterbacks, are right around 1,700.
Okay,
total.
Well, listen,
you're going to say 14. I'm going 17.5. I guess we won't find out till next week what is.
Right. That's right. But if Georgia didn't look so good against Texas, it wouldn't be that big. But Florida's looking better, and defensively, they're not the pushover that I think we've been talking about them being. And you've seen that in the last 2 weeks, Tennessee and Kentucky, right? So 2 physical teams, and Florida matched up. That's something that we can't say. We have not seen that in a while.
Dan says the spread is 21.
Give me Florida right now. I'll take it because the quarterback he's playing with confidence. I'll just say that. Okay, it's not.
Well, now Wolf Gator says it's UGA by 14, so I don't know who's right.
I don't think it's 21 QB. I think it's a little high. I really think it is. I think
it's going to be 17 or 18 though.
Okay, well that's right in the middle. Either way.
Yeah, Dan says he saw it this morning at 21.
Okay.
All right. So, all right, before we get out of here, Michael asked on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Shane, what's up with the injured Joey Slackman? He played the other night. He came back from injury. Sure has been a big disappointment thus far, being injury prone. I mean,
let me tell you what else helps, and we never talk about it, but it helps when a guy can kick the ball between the pipes, man. That really does help. You know?
Yeah, but Trey's been great, but he's missed 2 crucial ones when they counted in overtime this year, in the last 2 years. So it comes and goes.
But I look, he would have won that Arkansas game last year if they had just done everything correctly. And I know he missed the attempt that he made, but I believe that it helps so much when you can get points on a drive that stalls, and just anything gives you confidence to stay in the game and not give up on defense. And physically, they have matched up the last 2 games that I did not see happen. And I don't think anybody saw it. And I'm happy about that.
League of these sports bet in Florida on hundreds of props, parlays, game lines, and more. The only legal place to bet online in the state of Florida. Hard Rock. All right, JC, before we get out of here, this day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Puts a star power to work in your financial life. Campus USA Credit Union. All right, this day, 2007, Tennessee Titans kicker Rob Baronis sets an NFL record for the most points scored in a game without scoring a touchdown, and a 38-36 win over the Texans in Houston. How many points you think he scored?
15.
He scored 26 points without scoring a touchdown. That's a lot.
When you work on the Hard Rock, brother, you can either live in Greenland or you can live in Iceland. So if you keep it within your means, you can really add entertainment to your college football and NFL football day and everything else. And it's a damn good time. And it does kind of ease the pain when your college football team has 2 losses in October to at least have something like this to distract you from your misery. And so, you know what? When you spend $6,000 on furniture, like somebody I know just did, you can always just bet on the Chiefs, right? You can just bet on the Kansas City Chiefs, and you will get your money back.
Speaking of the Chiefs, who would have ever thought? Are they 6-0, JC?
Hell yeah!
That Bo Nix. Listen to this. I think I saw that. If I saw it correctly, Bo Nix has more touchdown passes and less interceptions than Patrick Mahomes this year.
It's incredible what he does with all those injuries they've had. They've lost players left and right.
They just died. Their play calling is ridiculous, and he is ridiculous.
They picked up Kareem Hunt off the sofa, and I can't tell one thing they've missed. They've got McCole Hardman running up and down the field. And, Rice was that guy a month ago. It's incredible what the Chiefs are able to do. And defensively, that might be the best team in the NFL. So, I think the only team right now that you could say legitimately would line up with them and maybe beat them is the team playing tonight. Baltimore and Tampa Bay, QB. It's 3.5. Who you taking?
I like the Bucs at home.
Okay, I'll take the Ravens.
Tony wants to know on Facebook Live, did I get to see any 84 guys? I did go by their tailgate after I did some pregame stuff. I only knew a few guys there. Obviously, I knew Neil Anderson and Ricky Nattil. I knew a couple other guys that were seniors when I was a true freshman, like Mark McGriff, those type of guys. But I got to meet John L. Williams, Lorenzo Hampton, Ray McDonald, that crew. So it's pretty cool. I had a couple of people text me during the game, why was their introduction so short? That's just what they do. Whether you win a national title or you're honoring, like Parker Valby's of the world, the Hall of Fame inductees, you can only walk out there briefly at a TV timeout.
It's 2 minutes,
wave 2.5
minutes. Oh, you got 2.5 minutes. But it's great that they at least recognize that group. And you know what? Kerwin didn't make it, but he was running up the score on Furman this weekend.
He told me he was going to run up the score too on Furman.
56 points, brother. Catamounts, man. They're in the race. So God bless them. In front of 9,000 folks at Paladin Stadium, bro.
How many?
9,000.
Well, Furman is the Alabama of the SoCon Conference.
Well,
so maybe they're going through the same thing your school's going through right now. Getting their ass beat every week.
They're playing like Alabama right now. But good for Kerwin. He didn't get to come, but I'm sure folks were thinking about him and vice versa, and he at least ran up the score on somebody. So, that's better than nothing. Yeah.
Okay, real quick. We're going to get to Scott here in just a second. We're waiting on him. This is a text from Zach, and Jack says, defense looked good on paper, but 2 of the picks were off of drop passes. The next 4 teams won't do that.
Well,
this one says, JC looks like he lost his first puppy.
I'm having a hard time with it. It's like I feel like irrelevancy is creeping in, and I hate that feeling.
Leroy from Palm Coast says, I'm glad to see the boys are playing so hard. And Billy, see what happens when you let the 5 stars play. Good to see Cormani McLean the other night. The deflection in the end zone was a better play than the pick 6. Well, the pick 6 was just terrible quarterback play from a third-string quarterback.
Yeah, he jumped.
But Cormani's got a long ways to go. It was good to see him get in the game, though. He'll probably get to play against Georgia a lot, though, because I don't know if Jason Marshall will be back.
Right.
All right. So this is from Josh, and we'll get you out of here. He says, JC, this is for both of us. With how everyone is playing this year, you have to say the Gators have a chance to pull off the upset versus Georgia and Texas, in his opinion. What do y'all think?
Well, that would be a huge upset, is what I would think.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to tell you, and it's not because I'm trying to make people, I just want folks to be a little realistic about it.
Yeah. That
damn Georgia team I saw the other night, if that shows up in Jacksonville, it won't be a good day. I don't care. Yeah. And Texas is not allows. They're a very good football.
They're very good.
They're very good. And so is
all right, JC. We're going to get you out of here. Go clean your kitchen. Go throw all your Alabama stuff away.
I'm going to work out my stress in the gym, baby. I'm getting so fit right now. It's unbelievable.
Okay.
I'm down to 186. Oh.
All right. Man. That's JC. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. Quick timeout. Come back. We'll talk a little Gators with Scott Carter, senior writer from FloridaGators.com.
Go Gators.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, Peachland Dental, QC Kinetics, Campus USA Credit Union, Dave & Buster's. Gridiron sponsors, Comfort Temp, UF Bookstores, Quality Plumbing, Silverback Concrete, Rules Ogra State Farm, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, F45, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Miapa Latin Cafe, Gator Bait Media, Aikido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, MG&A Wealth, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Nestin Wild, Florida Victorious, Electronics World. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogre State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Back to the Titan and More hotline, and it's the super senior writer, Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Scott, how we doing, my man?
Well, Sean or Shane, sometimes I feel a little bit more senior on Monday mornings. So,
No doubt.
That's where I am. But, for Gator fans, obviously a lot of them are waking up this morning, going to work a lot happier than they were last week. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I want to get to this first, and then we'll talk a little bit about the game. Do we know the extent of Jason Marshall Jr.? What kind of shoulder injury is it? And do we think he'll be back anytime soon?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, Billy didn't want to address that after the game. It looked like your classic shoulder popping out of joint. Just watching it from the press box, I was talking to someone up there who's familiar with the medical field. He said that's what it looked like to him too. And some guys, Shane, they can get a shoulder popped out and come back in the game.
Yeah.
Other guys, it wipes them out for the rest of the year. So really, I think only time's going to tell. It's only less than 48 hours since the game, so I don't think there's going to be any answers coming today. But if he can't play, guess we're going to see more Cormani McClain.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because, like you said, I've played with multiple guys where their shoulder pops out, pops it back in, they go right back in the game. But sometimes when you separate it a certain way. I had a separation when I was with the Panthers, and I was out for like 3 or 4 weeks. So who knows? But you hate to see that. And he made a hell of a play to eliminate a touchdown, forcing that guy to run out of bounds when he dove. But he's a really good player. Back to the game. Great win for the Gators. DJ played well. Jaden Ball was outstanding. But I think the thing that you got to take away, Scott, is the way the Gators dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. That's what I took away from this game.
Yeah, no, that's I was thinking about it before I came on here. I was like, what are the biggest talking points? And that was right at the top for me. Obviously, Lagway and the big plays and Jaden Ball's getting a lot of the attention. But I think when you look at this game and you look at the previous 3 or 4 matchups against Kentucky, what was talked about so much was how Kentucky had shifted the dominance at the line of scrimmage in the series against the Gators. And I don't think we saw that on Saturday night. I think Florida flexed some muscle there. And it's a good trend because really, the first 2 or 3 games of the season, Shane, we talked a lot about how the Gators just weren't SEC caliber in the trenches, and yet they played a lot better and they made improvements there offensively and defensively to where, they're getting the job done much more consistently. And I know we're going to find out more, obviously, in the coming weeks. But I got to tip the cap there to those guys up front, offensive and defensive lines. And I think we're just seeing some guys get more playing time that's making a lot of difference with, especially to me, the linebackers with, I know Pyburn's edge and Jaden Robinson. I think those guys getting more time has been really significant for the improvement on defense. And Tyreek Sapp and some of those guys up front that we talked about, they're making plays. So it's good to see.
Yeah, I think when you look at I want to say it was after the bye week, Scott. I want to say Billy made a comment that was, I think a lot of people took some shots at him, and it was kind of bizarre about it. I think we have found our rotation or our starting five on offensive line, something along those lines. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And that to me, I never understood why we rotated offensive linemen. Okay. I know why you rotate defensive linemen at times. I still think we do it too much. We don't do it as much as we did early in the season. But offensive line, I'm like, these are your five best. Let's go play.
Yeah.
I feel like that has really helped us offensively the last couple of weeks.
I agree. I think they were looking for the right combination and they found it and they've stuck with it. And again, I'm like you. I think when you get your best five on the field, you let them stay in there unless they just can't go, whether it's physical injury or they're just fatigued because of the way the flow of the game has been. So, I think they found that with Austin Barber, Najee Harris, Jake Slaughter. Damian George Jr. made probably one of his best plays of the season, had a nice block the other night. He's gotten a lot of criticism in his time at Florida. And, of course, Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, I think, has emerged as a solid piece at right tackle. So it showed up, Shane, and we all know that they have to show up like that in this next stretch for the Gators to, have a chance to maybe surprise some people. But, again, I think what I've seen so far through 7 games is it is a team that has improved. And, I know this, sometimes I kind of roll my eyes at this when coaches say it. The team hasn't quit. The locker room's still tight. But I could honestly say these guys have really, they kept busting their butt. Even, last week against Tennessee, they came out and I thought they played a very spirited game on Saturday night and got a win that they needed and really set themselves up at least well for the bye week because they had 14 guys out plus Bryce Thornton, who wasn't listed as out. He ended up sitting out the game too. So they need a couple weeks to see if they can get some guys back.
Yeah. Dan says it's interesting that Kentucky gets 2 former Florida offensive linemen starting, and then we dominate the line of scrimmage. Yeah. Norris says Desmond Watson is an asset on that D-line, Shane. He clogs up I'm going to disagree with you on that, Norris. Desmond has made some plays here and there, but majority of the time he is getting blown off the ball. Jeff says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, Gator players and coaches have improved this season. There's a feeling of confidence starting to spread. Kudos to both Billy. Isn't perfect, but who is? He deserves the credit as much as the blame. Agree with that. And then Chris from Mayak on the Titan MR text line. He must have something in his coffee this morning. He says, if Florida can finish the season 4-1, I think we will be at the 12-team playoff, which that would put us what?
8-4?
8-4? It's possible. I doubt it, but it could happen. And then he wants to know how long you've had that Emmitt Smith's Gator shirt.
I've had this a couple of years. It's probably shows somewhere, but it's a cool shirt. I'm a big Emmitt fan, although the 84 Gators coming back over the weekend, it reminded me of that number 22 in orange. The first one that I really knew about was John L. Williams. So it was great to see him out there doing the 2 bits. It was great to see a lot of those guys back because I've written this, and I don't know if I've said it on your show, but the 84 Gators, that was my introduction to Florida football. I was new to Florida, looking for something to latch on, and the Gators were really good. So if you're a 13-year-old kid looking for a sports team to root for, you're going to latch on to the Gators that year, and it's stuck for a few years since then, Shane.
Yeah, it's that 84 team was loaded, man. Florida Cracker is the brand for original Floridians, great fruit and southern hospitality in the center of the universe, Brooksville, Florida. FloridaCracker.com. This text says Mark Stoops said in his presser that we look like a big team on the hoof. Do you agree? Do we look like a big SEC defense now? I'm gonna leave it and say this: we're improved, but I will address this after we play these 4 offenses coming up.
Yeah, I think, everything that has kind of been battened around all season, they're still there. But I do, again, you give credit where it's due because certainly they're going to get criticism when it's due, and they've received enough of that. But I do think you've got to credit the Gators with going on that bye week after the A&M game. They've looked a lot better. They've been a better team without question since that bye week. So that is totally on the coaches and players. They deserve credit for that. But all these big picture questions that we're talking about, whether or not this team is, back and all that, well, you're going to find the answer out in the next 4 games. And we know what they have. I mean, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss. I mean, that's as tough as a stretch as any team in the country has. And it would be great to see Florida prove everybody wrong and maybe get an upset or 2 there. So we shall see, Shane, as they say. But I like where they are entering this stretch much more compared than I did a month ago.
Yeah. Byron's question on Facebook Live brought to you by Melon Law. Why does Napier waste a minute and a half at the half? The game was still tight and Kentucky was calling timeouts to try and win. I think he's talking about at the end of the half. I try to give scenarios of like what coaches are thinking or whatever during the broadcast. We did get it back. It may have been right about a minute and a half. We had some timeouts. And it depends on, how usually first down goes in that drive.
Yeah.
And I think we had a run play to ball. It didn't go so well. So I had no problem with it. I know everybody who sits in the stands wants to try to score every time. But sometimes you just can't. I get it. But I don't know if he addressed that in the presser or not. Did he, Scott?
Not that I recall. And, it was a non-factor in the game, obviously. I think you're right. I think the only way that everybody's going to be happy on Monday is if you score on every play and you stop the defense on every play, and you'd win about 180-0 every week. But I don't know if I've seen that happen before.
Dan Wilson, Scott, do you know when the university is sending out Texas tickets to the season ticket holders?
That is a good question. Kind of out of my realm. I don't know. I'll try to find out, and I can maybe blast it on Twitter, but I do not know the question or the answer to that question at this moment.
Oh, Jeff has a good one here. I'm glad he brought this up because I mentioned this multiple times on the broadcast. This is YouTube brought to you by Quality Pump. He says, Stoops said the unbalanced line we showed was a wrinkle. However, it's not a wrinkle. We've run it before. But overall in the running game, our O-line moved Kentucky off the ball. He was impressed with the size of the O-line as well. They did not adjust when we would bounce our 2 tight ends or what have you over here, Scott.
Yep.
And it'd be unbalanced. Kentucky never adjusted. I was texting with my buddy Cooper Carlisle, who that's all he does is watch the damn offensive lineman. That's all we do during the game is text back and forth about the run game. And Kentucky never adjusted, and we out schemed them. I said it multiple times on the broadcast. We are out scheming them in the run game. They're not making any adjustments, and that's hard to believe with the success that he has as a defensive guy.
No, I agree with you. I think whether or not what they did that with Lagway to give a new wrinkle, or what something they saw in Kentucky's defense, whatever it did, change the complexion of that game, and it's so different than the tone after last year's game in Lexington, where Kentucky just ran it down Florida's throat with Ray Davis, and everybody was saying, well, why didn't they adjust? So I think a part of that was also Ray Davis was just superior, run it back, power back to some of the tacklers Florida was throwing at him. But what you're talking about on Saturday night here, I think is true. You got to give credit, again, where it's due. I think that was good coaching and probably not good coaching on Kentucky's part. So whoever is doing the Matthews podcast up in Lexington this morning, they're just getting a lot of those calls, people bitching about that.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the last 2 weeks, the Tennessee and the Kentucky game were our best plans on both sides of the ball that the staff has had. Now, again, I think both teams that we played were limited in the passing game, so that it helps you able to scheme up some stuff defensively. But offensively, I thought it's been pretty good, quite honestly. A lot of people keep asking, if we were to upset someone in the next couple of weeks, who do I think it would be? I don't know. I mean, I just think it's going to be fun because we're going to play four really good football teams that have really good records, that have great quarterbacks and great offenses, and that's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I love the stretch that's coming up. I think we're going to learn a lot. We are going to be entertained, and I think it's going to have, a lot of impact in the playoff race with the teams that are coming. But before the year started, Shane, the one game I was looking at on the schedule that has intrigued me is the Ole Miss coming down to the Swamp. It's been a while, and that game is one now that looks a little different to me on paper, at least, than it did a month ago. So if I was picking one of those to be upset today, I'm probably going with Ole Miss. But, I could be wrong. We'll see. It's going to be fun either way, man.
Yeah. All right, before we get you out of here, Michael says Lagway's a cool customer. It seems no matter what comes at him, he hasn't gotten rattled at all, it appeared. Look, I've said this multiple times. He is a calm, cool, collected kid, man. Nothing bothers him. He's got he's a smart kid, but he's got a really good football IQ. He understands how to play the position, and he will get better. He struggles. I shouldn't say struggle, but I would say the intermediate, shorter stuff. He sees it a little late because we threw a couple like 6 to 8 yard routes that got close to being picked off, and that will come. He throws the deep ball great. As I said, there's no thinking in a deep ball. It's easy. It's the easiest, safest throw in football. But he's got the knack to how to play the position. And people ask me, the comparison. I was like, there is no comparison between him and Anthony Richardson, in my opinion. That's not a shot at Anthony. I just think this guy knows how to play the quarterback position, and he knows how to protect himself when he runs. I think there will be times when he tries to run over people, depending on the situation of the game. But he understands how to play the position. I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, I mean, the only comparison when I think of Anthony and him are obviously the athleticism and the strong arms. But it's obvious that DJ has a deeper, I think, football IQ at this point in his career than Anthony did. He's got some of those intangibles. It's like I tweeted the other night after the first couple runs. He's already mastered his slide, which we never really saw with Anthony so much. Just little things like that show you that he studies his craft and that he's going to be a really good college quarterback. I think he's already a good college quarterback. And your point about the intermediate throws, I think that's true. I think he was 5 of 8 on passes of 15 or more yards the other night. 1 for 1, 5 yards or less. I think it was 0 for 5 on those 5 to 15 yard passes. So I think that's something that he will improve on over the course of time. But, it's rare that you lose a quarterback of the experience and really just leadership of Graham Mertz, and you go to a guy who, I don't know if the Gators are a better team from day one with him, but I don't think they've lost that much just because of his ceiling and what he can do just where he is right now. So I think that position's still in very good hands with DJ Lagway as the Gators finish off this season. And he's fun to watch, man. Let's face it. They opened up the offense on those balls. And I was asking Elijah Badger after the game, I said, man, have you, he's a 6th or 5th year senior, played at 3 schools. I'm like, have you ever had a quarterback who throws a better deep ball? He goes, never, man. It's the best one he's ever had. So that's just what DJ does.
Tony says this may be Richardson 2.0. Lots of potential as a runner, but we don't want to get him hurt and mess up his chances in the NFL. Like I said, in my opinion, there's no comparison. Anthony probably dunks a basketball better than DJ. He's probably faster. He's obviously bigger and more powerful. But from the quarterback intangibles, it's not even close. So I think DJ is smart when he runs the football. Very smart.
Yep.
So, all right, Scott, you got any good articles you're writing on during the bye week? Or are you going to take a vacation to the beach somewhere? Or what do you got going on?
I'm going to be busy this week, although I think I am going to try to get out of town this weekend, first time in a while. So I think I haven't been to the beach in a while, Shane. So you just put something in my head, man. Maybe that's a good weekend planned, scheduled trip to the beach somewhere. But yeah, we'll be writing some leftovers from this week's game and also a couple of features on players and just, again, I like the fact that where it's trending right now, and it makes next week and the game against Georgia a little more interesting. That you think, okay, at least Florida is playing much better than they were early in the season, and we all know what Georgia's going to do. Kirby Smart, man, was he fired up or not in that post-game press conference on the field the other day? I mean, he's ready for the stretch run. You can tell.
Yes, and no doubt about it. Scott, good stuff as always, my friend. Appreciate your time, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks in Jacksonville.
All right. Thanks, Shane. See you, buddy.
Yeah, that's Scott Carter, senior writer, FloridaGators.com. Florida Victorious, proud NL partner.